A couple more things from Russia.
Mind control weapons.
This was fun. This is from thesun.co.uk. No, thesun.com. Inside Russia's deadly toy box as Putin shows off his weapons, including tanks, missiles, and super soldier. Why is the headline cut off here?
Bert. Super soldier Bert.
Yeah.
Brain tests.
Yeah. That's the mind control stuff. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, you got your text only thing going, don't you?
Yeah, it's okay. But
does that mean you're not going to have the photo?
I went in because we need to have the photo. And I love just the innuendos. I apologize ahead of time. I'm just reading the article. The Russian dictator, 69, boasted that his soldiers' equipment was decades ahead of the West at the country's annual arms convention on the outskirts of Moscow.
Outskirts. Now, following that sentence is probably one of the greatest things about Russia is that they are not sort of in the same position as the West, where putting long-legged, red lipsticked models on tanks and taking pictures of them for promotional photos is not frowned upon like it would be in America. Can you imagine like Raytheon or Halliburton rolling out their new missile?
They would have a better they wouldn't have as much pushback if they did that, you know? People would be stoked about it. Like, hey, Raytheon.
Gonzo, the activists, they would never allow it. It is seriously a throwback to some other time in history where they have this big tank. They're showing off this big Russian tank, and they've got 4 Russian models like sitting on it in high heels and short skirts. It is the funniest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah,
Russia.
She's got an Apple Watch, you know. So
she's got an Apple Watch, bright red lipstick. It is really, it's so foreign to us now that it really caught me off guard.
Yeah, there's some more
and
photos.
Then the next pictures are like tanks blowing things up and explosions and guys with cybernetic headsets on. It's just this one picture at the very it's like the magazine cover for this article.
Yeah.
Okay, keep going. Anyways, this whole thing is they're just showing off their toys, right?
Yeah, a bunch of stuff, and it talks a little bit about the mind control stuff there. They got a robot. They talk about the robot. Putin has previously claimed genetically modified super soldiers who are incapable of feeling pain or fear could soon become a reality. The 4-legged robot dog was also shown off, seen trotting along the floor, wielding a rocket-propelled grenade launcher on its back. Wait a minute. Wasn't that from that convention that wasn't... Anyway.
What?
The 4-legged robot dog with a rocket-propelled grenade launcher on its back? This is a different one from the one that they debunked?
No, it's the same one.
Okay,
it's the same festival here.
Okay,
yeah.
The robot dressed up in a ninja-like outfit. Oh yeah, okay. So this is like before the debunk.
They should have had a model with the rocket launcher dog like on a leash, you know?
Yeah, get what's her name? The Hilton gal there to walk around with the leash on that robot dog.
Paris Hilton.
Paris Hilton,
Put the robot dog in a purse.
Yes.
Have it poking out of a purse and Paris Hilton carrying it around.
At the opening of the convention on Monday, Putin vowed to arm allies with the, quote, most modern weapons and bragged that Russia's military might is many years, if not decades, ahead of his Western rivals. And that's kind of the theme here is very similar to the
same
alleged,
quote from the other one.
Yeah, same alleged, Trump thing. Oh, we're so far ahead. We're way ahead. Which is
You're right. Trump was bragging about that recently.
Right, like the whole the nuclear weapons thing. But it's an interesting propaganda piece, if you will, because in contrast, there's this story from Fortune where the headline here is, quote, it's a quote, and then it's got the rest. We realized that there's no way we can return. Russia's best and brightest are leaving the country in record numbers. 6 young Russians explain why they left. And we won't read it because
the brain drain. The brain drain.
Yeah, brain drain taking place. And we won't read it because it's very anecdotal. It's got the young people and
just stories about grad students and stuff.
It is really interesting how there's a chart here where they're going. And it says here that 24.9% are going to Turkey. And then another 23%.
A NATO country.
A NATO country. And then 23% to Georgia, 19 to other, 15 to Armenia. Then it goes, kind of smaller numbers to Israel, Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan.
It's interesting specifically because Turkey being a NATO country, that's a little bit of a slap in the face of Putin there. But Georgia, interestingly enough, it ties in with the Dugin story that Alexander Dugin Fellow in his political writings advocated for Russia to invade Georgia.
That's right. That's part of the deal. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's kind of like another, if you believe that this Dugin guy is as influential as they want us to think, Georgia would be next on the list. And indeed, there was some kerfuffle in Georgia, I believe, in the early 2000s, if I remember correctly.
Mid 2000s.
I'd have to look something.
It was definitely on the radar with just all
Georgia
the tensions.
Conflict. I was pretty young at the time.
Yeah. Let's see. There's one more thing. Oh, this is kind of like a modern version of Project Paperclip. There's a war, and then we just recruit all the youngest and brightest, to build our occult rocketry system out in America, with NASA. All that originated with Project Paperclip, so maybe something similar taking place here, despite the fact that Russia is decades ahead with their super soldiers and tanks and missiles and
that is a funny juxtaposition, and models. The 2008 Russo-Georgian War was a war between Georgia on one side and Russia and the Russian-backed self-proclaimed republics of South Ossetia and Abkhazia on the other. So very similar setup. It sounds like these self-proclaimed republics, kind of like Donetsk and Luhansk in Ukraine, it's like the exact same strategy. Putin used the exact same strategy in the Russo-Georgian War. Took place in August, following a period of worsening relations between Russia and Georgia, both formerly constituent republics of the Soviet Union. The fighting took place in the strategically important South Caucasus region. That's where all the Caucasians are from.
The origin of the Caucasian.
It is regarded as the first European war of the 21st century.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's kind of just like a carbon copy of what we're seeing now. Interesting. Okay, well, there you go.
Yep. We're not going to talk about, there's a bunch of violence taking place in Crimea. Some warnings about stuff exploding.
The Ukrainian offensive. Yes.
Yeah.
We will cover the Ukrainian offensive probably next week. We'll see if something happens. The long story short, for weeks, Ukraine has been hinting at this offensive that they're going to take back some territory from Russia.
The U.S. approved it. U.S. is like,
and the U.S. approved it.
Go do it.
But nothing's really happened except for some mysterious explosions.
Yeah, and Russian Navy headquartered in Crimea blows up. And also $3 billion. $3 billion more for the Forever War, the new Forever War that you and I are sending over there, Basil, the tax-paying American.
Taxpayer dollars, Not only are we going to be paying for student loans, but also a war in Ukraine forever.
Yeah, a little foreshadowing there.